offensive. I mean, not just our company, but a big offensive. And at times, everybody would stop until they got all the 399th Infantry Regiment and the 398th Infantry Regiment and the 397th. They would probably have a coordinated move on a big division. Maybe that would take the whole division was on it. Then they'd have to sometimes sit there and wait till they got someone who had planned all this. How are they going to do it? And then they had to do a lot of reconnaissance, reconnoitering to see where the German strong points were. Because they had strong points here, and then it may be a while, and they'd have another strong point, but they couldn't completely cover every mile, like no more than we could. They'd be so far apart sometimes. So what the tactics were to hit the strong point. If you can eliminate one, we could get through and go back far enough, and if they could do that in a couple of places, they could link up. That was the tactics, both the German and American. In this instance, we moved up during the night into position to get ready for the mission, to speak, and my what I was doing and somebody else was doing then, we came in at night, had no idea where the German positions were. We moved into one position and we went on the forward slope, and it was a deep ravine. We got up right next to it, and it was enough light during the night so we could possibly see what we're doing. And we dug in a machine gun right on the edge of this ravine, because they figured it was a good spot for anybody coming forward. You had to come up this steep ravine. Draws, we call them. So we dug in there at night. Well, it was quiet during the night. We kept digging, and we dug in a pretty good one. It was two of us, and we set up the gun and piled up dirt all around the edges, so it was just the gun sticking out. Had no idea where our German position was. And we kind of, I think, we probably, one of us would lay down and rest, and the other one would stand. And then when it got just getting daylight, that's when we would find out if we happened to be close to a German position. Well, we were dug in. I bet we dug deep enough, so we were about down to here, I think, because we kept digging and digging, and so gun was probably about level with our ice. We figured it for protection, and we had some dirt alongside of that again around for protection. So it was just getting light, and we thought we're going to ease up and look around and see what, getting daylight. And the minute we stuck our head up about just barely looking up there, wham, we got a burst from a machine gun at the dirt flew, and there was some trees behind us, smoldering bark flew. They heard us. They were probably about 200 yards on the other side of the draw, of gun position. They heard us digging at night, but see, they didn't fire at night, because the minute they gave away their position, you could see the night. And then, of course, the first thing we did, we pulled the wire up there, and we hooked our phone on. We had connection with company CP, and we immediately called back and want artillery support. They knew it. So all day we couldn't even put your dang head up above there before the guy fired, and we couldn't see him. He was so camouflaged. There was some evergreen trees in there and some brush and stuff on the other side. And the only time we could get out of there was at night. We could go back, and we were on a forward slope, and we had to go back over the top, and the company was dug in behind us, most of the rest of the company. So there we sat. You couldn't move. You couldn't get out of the hole. That God, son of a gun, a minute we stuck, he fired. And so then this went on for, I think we were there 2-3 days. Insane. So then it was during the day, and I think that's when Lieutenant Nicholson had been back. I think he'd been back for something. And no one came up there during the day. No one stayed there. And then all of a sudden, we heard a noise behind us, and a quick turn. Here was Lieutenant Nicholson. He come right and brought, he's going to come up to our hole. And we told him, get in the hole real quick. Get in there real quick. He said, and I'll tell you exactly what he did. He stood right straight up, and he said, "Oh, fuck me." And about that time, this guy opened up, and the goddamn dirt leaves flew, and the bark flying off the street. He dived head first into the hole. And he was pure luck he didn't hit him. And he crawled down in the hole, and he says, "How long has this been going on?" He said, "We've been here about 2-3 days." And then he said, "You can't leave. You're going to stay here till dark." "I'm not staying here," he said. "I'm not going to stay here." I said, "Well, you cannot get out of the hole, but that's awkward. The minute you stick your head out of there, he's got a perfect beat on us. He zeroed in on us." He said, "I'm not staying here." Well, he said, "No, you can't. It's too damn risky." So you're gonna. And he stayed and he crouched down in a hole. And he got so doggone mad. He said, finally he said, "I'm leaving." Well, he said, "You do what you want, but you know." So he crouched down in a hole, he got ready. And all of a sudden he jumped out and he zigzagged back and forth through the trees. And the guy didn't fire. He figured it was he zigzagged. He got over the hill. He got on the phone and he said, "You guys lay flat in your hole," he said, "because we're going to get artillery on that position." He said, "You lay real flat." So they're going to lay artillery about 200 yards out of us. And so he's got on the phone and he said, "Okay." I talked to the artillery. And they got the position. We told them, where the position was. So he said, "Okay, get flat down in there." We laid right flat, and here the artillery joystick, they come trying to suck us out of our hole. They were landing about 200 yards ahead of us, and they just laid artillery across that draw. And the trees and dirt stuff were flying, and so we figured it's going to be the end of them. They really plastered it. So then, we still didn't just. I think it was the next morning again, and we laid on the next morning. We did the same thing. He looked on, wham! The guy fired, goddamn, the bark flew off the trees and the dirt flew and everything. Still there. So we were talking we had this field phone we clipped onto the wire. We were talking back to the company CP, and they said, "He's still." And I think they tried it the second time. And they really laid and it was really known. And when the artillery shot, they came right smack over a hole, and it feels like you're going to suck you right out of the hole, And they were hitting right smack in front of us, and they're pretty accurate. Still there. It never declared. So we wondered, what in the world? And we still couldn't see them. Because I got, we were back at night and I got a pair of field glasses. Like we had some field, we had an ordinary carrying them. So I said, I want a pair of field glasses. So I'm going to spend the day looking to see if I can find the spot that's so and so. They dug a little trench in the dirt, so just barely over the top, and you lay there with the field glasses and scan that area real slow. We could have all day to do it, looking at him and trying to spot him to see where he is firing from, and never could see him, even with the field that close. Couldn't see him. So there was nothing you could do with him. He couldn't get a return fire, he could just waste it. He didn't. So then the riflemen came up and they dug in alongside of us, on one side of us, and an E company was firing down, and they dug in there, and we didn't have to do in the day, so we started digging. Deep trench. We kept digging till we got a trench over to the next hole to one of the riflemen. We could go back and forth. So that's what we were doing the whole day. We dig, and we dug so deep we were below the surface. Mm-hmm. And the E company guys, they had their machine gun dug in not too far from us. They were firing continuously. So we said, E company must be going in the reserve. They're firing up all their ammunition. They don't have to carry it back. Well, I think they were firing into the. So then when we jumped off, and we figured that we'd like to see where this guy was, or whatever they were, maybe a crew or something. We didn't go right in there, so we went. I think we cut off, but our company had another position we were supposed to go at, and I think E company, they were next to us. They went into that area. So we, afterwards we bumped into the E company up there, and we wanted to go, and I said, did you guys go into that area? And you know where this guy was firing? And they said, finally found somebody that said, yeah, we went in there. And I said, what in the world did they have there? He said it was a concrete bunker. Mm-hmm. It was a concrete bunker with a little slit in the front of it, just enough for the gun barrels to stick out so they could see. And it was covered, most of it was dirt, and there was like brush and stuff over in the front of it, just had a little field of fire. And he said by the time we got there, whoever was there took off, because they figured they better had it. And he said, you should have seen the pile of empty cartridges laying. There was piles of it laying, and he said they'd been firing. I wonder how many they fired. Never did. But he said they had left, and we got in there, and they figured they were going to go and get that, find out where they were. That's where he was. We figured he had to be in some kind of a concrete bunker, otherwise the artillery would have completely ruined him, you know. Even all that artifice still didn't. So the